Lord Xerus, Lord Xerus, Lord Xerus, Lord Xerus.
Hello, my lords and ladies, and everyone in between. I'm Lord Xerus. Welcome back to my castle. Today, we're going to continue making some cool SCA gear out of the stuff we've been working on for the past couple of months. Alright, now take a look. So we've got this nice piece of rattan, which has been shaved down to the minimum on the sides. So it's kind of got like a flat, broadsword appearance. So the bottom has been sanded and shaped, and it's ready to fit our hardware. There's a couple of different ways of smoothing down your handle. One time, I whittled down my handle with a knife. This time, I used a belt sander. Unfortunately, I don't have any footage of myself using the belt sander, so I dug up this educational program from a local community college that might illustrate the process for us.
Ranchito Arroyo Sierra Vista Poquita Mas Grande Community College presents Working your peen and smoothing your tang.
Say what?
When you need to shave down your pole, a belt sander is a good way to rub it out.
Oh yeah, just go ahead and spike the camera, weirdo.
Bob is wearing protection. Bob is smart.
Bob is giving me some real douche chills.
Watch how he grinds his shaft.
Oh man, what did we get ourselves into?
He takes firm grip of his stick at the base and to the tip.
What is going on here?
Long, smooth strokes get the best results. On the top, on the sides, and especially underneath. Let your hands explore every inch of the surface.
Oh boy, that took a turn.
Be sure to go really, really, really slow.
Okay, this video's making me feel a little bit uncomfortable.
Finish your rod with a little twist. Now clean yourself off and leave your lamp on the counter.
Alright, well that was weird. We got our hardware here. Here's a hilt and here's the pommel, which is the stuff that we worked so hard to color last time. Alright, some other stuff that we're gonna need. Fiberglass strapping tape, other tapes of various colors, silver duct tape, this is some white gaffer's tape, and some black gaffer's tape. We'll only need 2 of these, but I'm gonna see which one I like better. Alright, we're also gonna need something to cover our handle with. Most people like to use just regular tape, or even athletic tape. That's fine, but I'm gonna go a little fancy here, and I'm gonna use this piece of scrap leather that I got. I'm probably gonna use this flex glue here. We're also gonna need this lag screw right here. Look at that, isn't that a nice color? That matches our hardware. Oh, and one last thing we're gonna need, of course, is our thrusting tip. This is a standard thrusting tip right here. No, not the low profile one, because you see the cross section of that rattan's pretty thick. So we're gonna need our standard thrusting tip. Poke, poke, poke. Oh yeah, Kitty says, don't forget the paracord. Sorry, Kitty. So looks like we got all of our materials in order. So let's get started. So we gotta drill a pilot hole that's just a pinch smaller than our screw here. We gotta give it room to get in there without splitting the rattan. But we also have to give it enough material to grab onto with the threads. Alright, Xerus, don't sweat it. Just like gravity duel work. Put it in reverse. There we go. Alright, so we drilled our hole. Now we need to add strapping tape. Oh man, I should have opened this first. Trials and tribulations of Lord Xerus. Alright, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna start down here. Now the purpose of doing this is to keep the rattan fibers from flying out of the sword if it ever breaks. Tough to do without knocking stuff off the table here. Usually I have to try really hard to get the tape to line up perfectly like that. We're actually gonna do 2 layers of strapping tape. Do one going up, and then one going down. Oops. Ah, shit. I stuck it to the table. My overlaps are getting bigger as I go down the line. There's no rule that says it has to be one continuous piece of tape. Okay, I give up. Equip work gloves. That's better. Alright, I'm gonna go around once around the top here. And now I'm gonna go in the other direction, I'm gonna go back down. It's totally not necessary to make it all the way down on one piece of tape, but I kind of made that a challenge for myself a few times. Why? I missed a couple of spots. Oh man. I'm just gonna use this little strip to go back over the parts that I missed. The reason I wanted to use this cool hardware and give it this nice color and appearance was because I'm trying to match something out of my favorite book, The Tale of the Order of the Blue Maiden. I mean, check out this fat boy. You can get this on all major retailers, iTunes, Barnes & Nobles, Kobo, and the one that shall not be named because I'm kind of mad at them because they're not paying their income taxes and they don't pay their workers enough. Amazon, get your shit together. So I'm trying to match the sword that's in this story. In the story, the main character finds this toy sword, right? It's made out of wood. And then throughout the story, when it needs to, it transforms into a magical sword. Anyway, you should read the book. There's a ton of cool things in there, just like that. Instead of my usual trick of using the black gaffer's tape, which I did to my other sword, it looks pretty cool. I like it. Because I want to go for a more conventional appearance, I think I'm just going to use the silver duct tape. So what most people like to do is they like to wrap the tape around, okay? I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go straight up and down the blade. The reason being, I want to maintain the nice shiny appearance of this tape. Wrapping it around will create a lot of lines and ridges, and I don't want that. Hopefully we've got enough tape. Oh, I just noticed. This is called duct tape. Duct tape, get it? Because you can use it to tape ducks. Shouldn't hum. Don't make noise during the insert, Xerus. Oh, Glove. Why are you always doing this to me, Glove? Stop talking to yourself, Xerus. It's weird. Alright, so in my rush to get this thing taped up, I realized that I forgot something very important. We forgot to affix the thrusting tip to the end of this. So, what I did is I just cut a couple of strips of leather, and it doesn't have to be leather necessarily, it just can be any material that's just tough enough to take repeated impacts. I can use my gaffer's tape for this. Oh, gloves. How does Mickey Mouse do it? Up. Bummer. You can see this. I taped it around with the silver tape to ease the transition between the one elevation and the other. Shoot, I screwed up. Not perfectly in the center, but what can you do about it? A lot of re-taping in my life. Even without gloves, this is not easy. Son of a bitch. So I placed the Quillons on the rattan just to test the fit. Because this sword doesn't have a basket hilt, I need to use a clamshell gauntlet in order to have adequate protection against having my fingers crushed. But the tape is not letting the Quillons slide all the way up, and that is making the handle too short for my clamshell gauntlet. As you can see, I've trimmed up this tape. I even put a little divot in there. This part has to be so perfectly fitted that I had to go back and adjust it a few times. I keep getting these little fibers on there. Gotta cut them off. I have cut out this piece of leather. I'm gonna use the back of it because that always feels nicer. For this, we're gonna need our rubber gloves. Equip rubbers! Okay. Oh no. See, the hardware is already starting to take abuse here. All that super hard lacquer is already starting to peel off. So I'm not really sure it was worth putting it on there. How do I do this? I'm just gonna put a fair amount of it on there. I'm just gonna apply this around. I don't want to go all the way to the end because I don't want it coming out the top. Flatten this out, making it as flat as it can be. This glue gets everywhere, so you've got to be really careful. We're working with black leather. You know, a smart thing to have done would be track down the black flex glue, but I wasn't able to find it. Here we go. I'm gonna jam this up on there. I'm gonna wipe off the excess glue off of here. It does get everywhere. It's annoying. Oh, maybe that's not glue. That might be. See, that's chipping off my lacquer now. What the glue is doing is ruining our tape finish. It's because losing color, it's losing lacquer, it's losing all kinds of stuff. That's a really big disappointment. Thought it would be a little bit more durable. Well, you know, the best laid plans. I don't know how the rest of that saying goes. Something bad, I think. Alright, well, it's on there. Now the really tricky part is we gotta get our leather in there. Equip work gloves! Alright guys, so I cut these strips of leather here. I cut little divots in the end here to make sure that they would fit the curvature of this hilt here. So now I'm just gonna make sure everything fits. Kind of comes out to be the perfect length right there. Now let's touch this one here. Oh no! I've got a little gap there between the leather and the pommel of this sword. I kind of got a little carried away and maybe cut a little bit too much of it. I don't really have any more scraps of leather. Maybe I can just saw a couple millimeters off the end of that. Oh man, I hope I don't regret this. Let this be a lesson to you guys. You know, you always got to pay attention to the length of your peen. You don't want your peen to be too long, you don't want your peen to be too short. If your peen isn't the right length, then, you know, you run the risk of mishandling it. And you don't want to mishandle your peen. If you mishandle your peen, you could damage it, or even possibly break it. All right, so we basically given our peen a little circumcision there. Hopefully that'll close the distance between the pommel and the leather. Actually, we should just test it. All right, falls right perfect on there. So now we gotta shorten our other scrap, because the other scrap is too long now. All right, perfect. We did file our peen down a little bit too long. I'm gonna put some in there to fill it. Some wood filler might work, or I did come into some scrap leather recently. Now the reason I like this more than the idea of putting wood filler in there is because the wood filler, it'll get crushed and may eventually just turn into dust and just start spilling out of places. So this leather, it'll stay resilient, and it'll absorb some of the impacts. So there's my measurement. Bag of rubber bands here. And I'm gonna stop shy of these edges, because if you put too much glue on the edges, all the glue starts spilling out. Put that rubber band on there. So what I've done here is that I've put the rubber band around it to keep it in place while the glue cures, and then I've also filled in the gap with a little bit of Flex Seal here. And hopefully this will absorb all the impacts that it receives there. Alright, so this glue has cured pretty well here. So I'm just going to remove the rubber band. After the glue cured, I realized that I forgot one kind of important thing. One-handed SCA weapons are required to have lanyards. I think I'm going to use this paracord just because I have a bunch of it laying around. And it's a nice lightweight material and strong. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed this paracord through this hole in the bottom of the pommel. Getting one in there is not that hard. Getting the other one in there, that might be an issue. See if I can push it through that way. Alright, managed to push that through with the scissors. Now, the big problem will be to get this bolt to also go through in the other direction. That will be a challenge. I don't know if it's gonna work. See, that's what I was worried. I'm worried that this screw is actually gonna damage the paracord. Alright, so what I've decided to do is that I've gone ahead and cut some notches into the side of this peen here. And these notches are so that when I put this cord flush to the surface, this is going to give it some room so that the pommel can fit on there. The way I'm going to fix this paracord to the peen here is I'm going to use my good old stapler. Okay, alright. The other end. The thing about this paracord is, like, no matter how much you trim it, it's always like all wild and frayed at the end. I'm gonna add some glue in here. I do want that glue to bond up with the paracord here. Alright, so you got glue inside the pommel there. Go ahead and press down the paracord here. This is the part where glue gets everywhere. Alright. See, I got glue in my pommel. It's only a matter of time. It's on the top of there. Now, do everything right. Lag bolts should just go right into the hole there. Seems like it wants to grab on. I want to find a screwdriver head that fits that little star-shaped hole there. When I'm going to turn the screw, the pommel's also going to want to turn around. Check our alignment here. It's pretty good. Getting it nice and tight. Don't want to strip the threads. Check that out. Last thing to do, add our leather. There might be a little gap in there. Oh well, not a whole lot we can do at this point. Let's give it a pass the Sharpie, just so it's not so glaringly obvious that it's not black. Well, the marker really did the trick there. Now you always want to make sure you stay clear of the edges, because if you put glue too close to the edges, your glue is gonna end up spilling out past your edges. Press that on there lightly. Now I'm gonna apply the glue to this side. You ever notice that flex glue smells kind of minty? I think that maybe it's because it started life as a toothpaste. The toothpaste hardened so well that they just decided to make it a glue instead. That's my version of the story. I like it. Okay, that on there. Don't get glue everywhere, Xerus. It's your worst nightmare. Worse than the one where you have to go back to elementary school. I think the next thing to do is get these rubber bands on here. This lanyard's gonna be a problem. Okay, just keep getting stuck. Actually, maybe we can just save some time if we just double twist this here. Fortunately, this glue isn't the fastest drying glue in the world. And these rubber bands, we kind of want to spread out their influence. Twist it to an infinity formation like that. Roll it up the handle there. Maybe add a little bit more glue up here. Not too much. These edges might need a little bit more trimming after the glue's dried. This pommel's really thick. Alright, let's wait for that to cure. Now, as the glue was waiting to dry on the handle, I went ahead and added another layer of tape to the blade. because I like it to be nice and shiny. The glue got all over the tape and made it look all dull and stupid, so that's why I added another layer of tape. In any case, this is the SCA. Another layer of tape never hurt anything. Now we gotta add our contrasting tape. You gotta add some contrasting tape around the edge of the blade and the tip to identify whether or not blows land correctly. Cool, I take my glove with the sword. Nice and straight. Cut it back here to keep it elevated. Slightly crooked, still. Last thing we're gonna do, the thrusting tip has to be identified by the high contrasting tape. I always like to wrap up the thrusties with a nice go around. It's a nice thrusting tip for ya. Like a marshmallow. Alright, just one more detail. I'm gonna add this little thingamajig to the lanyard so it can close up around my arm. Now we got a little thing to use to close up the lanyard with. It looks like as soon as the glue dries on its handle, our SCA sword will be complete. Alright, so in the morning, we're going to Leondemir and we're gonna test out this sword. Yeah! Alright guys, we've got our brand new Rattan sword ready to go for SCA combat. It's like Excalibur, except made out of rattan. Are you ready to go bump some heads? Yeah, me too! Let's go! Oh yeah, I am not good at this game, at all. Alright guys, well thank you for joining me on this episode of Lord Xerus. Remember our motto, no li te temere utsuju. Don't be afraid to suck. I'll see you on the battlefield. It's better if I do that, if I address that in full person. Words are hard. Words are hard.